Show. Turn up your mind.
I really think one of the main problems we have politically in this country is that evidently somewhere around half of the population is completely incapable of caring about a thing if it doesn't affect them personally. We all know people vote based on what's best for them and their communities, and that's fine, but it seems for a huge chunk of the populace, the second unspoken part of that philosophy is also screw other communities. And I don't get that part. I don't get why it has to be binary, but then I started thinking about it in sports terms. Like others have pointed out, these people with their hats and their shirts and their flags and their signs and their unintelligible screaming, they're kind of like sports fanatics. And I think there's something to that. They do seem to process things in a similar fashion, because in sports, hatred for the other team is celebrated, right? And it does seem like their attitude is, my team should be number one, my team should be winning, and the only way that works is for other teams to lose. And it's like, yeah, in sports, but like not with the minimum wage, though. And they just cannot put themselves in other people's shoes. I don't mean they won't. I mean, it seems like they can't. Like you tell them, things are pretty bad for blank right now. And they're just like, well, I'm not blank. And you want to go with the obvious follow-up. No, I know. But like, what if you were, though? How would you feel then? And dude, asking these people that question is like asking a Labradoodle to solve for X. Like, they lack the foundational building blocks to even begin to understand what you're trying to say to them. And the only way that ever changes is if they do somehow experience this stuff firsthand. Like somebody's hated gays their whole life, but now their daughter's cutting her hair short and getting really into softball, and all of a sudden they're coming around. And I'm glad that ever happens, but A, for some of them, even that doesn't do the trick. And right. B, it's a damn shame it takes something like that in the first place to make them care. It's like, because it takes something huge, like a gay child, because any of life's relatively lesser hardships, they have the opposite effect on these people. Experiencing those hardships just makes them want to ensure that everyone else experiences them too, or else it's not fair. Right? They're like, I worked in a restaurant, made $9 an hour. They want 15, ain't right. I paid my student loans off. They want it for free. Not fair. Like, I'm surprised during the gay marriage debate, we didn't see people out here just like, oh, gays think they should be able to get married even though Sheila left me with nothing. It's such a brazenly selfish argument to make in public, and they do it with a straight face. And not only that, but they clearly think that we just haven't considered their perspective. They're just like, you really okay? You're really okay with more of your hard-earned tax dollars paying for somebody else's health care? You really okay with paying 9 to 11 cents more for a cheeseburger just so they get a livable wage? And it's like, yeah, man, I am. And further, I don't know how to express to you how disturbing it is to me that you are not. Like, man, that's the whole thing.
Trae Crowder. Trae Crowder. Yes, but even in sports, I understand, strike him out. I get it. I really do. Miss the kick, miss it. Yay! Outside. I get that. I get, but even after, the game, the opposite teams shake hands. There still is something called sportsmanship that exists in sports, which doesn't seem to exist in our political realm. It's just, it's hate to the death. And then they cloak the whole thing in Jesus. Like, hatred is the reason for the season, dude. That's what we're about. Wishing well, people don't wish each other well anymore. People wish each other to fail. People wish each other poverty. People wish, each other, they have this sociological desire to see people doing less well than they are. And if that's not the case, then somebody is taking something from them. The joy of seeing somebody do less well than they do. And that joy shall not be impinged. That joy shall not be infringed. That joy that I get watching someone else live a worse life than my disgusting life up the run, up the holler, is not going to be taken away from me. That's a really sad and crappy way to run a country because, we do have an economy, and the economy depends on people being able to buy things, spend money. It's a consumer-driven economy. You would think that fact alone would cajole people into wanting others to do well so that they could do better in whatever their, business is, whether it's, direct sales to somebody or marketing a service. You would think that having more money in people's pockets who might, frequent your establishment or go by your website or somehow, buy your service or your goods I don't care if you have a store on Etsy, you would think having more money in everyone's pocket is a good thing for you in this here consumer-driven economy. But oh no, we don't have the shake hands portion of our politics figured out. It's all hatred all the time. And, he's right about, though, when he actually touched upon the, I had a caller yesterday that was, he wasn't anti-gay marriage, but he was saying, I hope the gays enjoy marriage as much as I did after my divorce. Remember him? And of course, that's the kind of person that Trae was referring to there, and saying, that unless and until something bad happens to you, you have no empathy for anybody else or any desire for anybody else to access the same rights or the same, contracts that you were able to access. And in Vicky Hartzler's case, which is what our caller was calling about, even having a gay nephew who obviously prevailed over conversion therapy twice, which, by the way, conversion therapy, every single mental health organization, the Psychiatric Association of America, every medical association in the United States of America, every single solitary, reliable, fact-based, investigatory medical panel in this country has determined that conversion therapy is dangerous, it doesn't work, and it causes people to commit suicide or want to commit suicide or forces them into a depression from which there probably is a long climb out of, if people can muster the energy to climb out of that. So that's a self-inflicted wound. That's self-inflicted depression. And the Hartzler family did that to their own family member on purpose. Twice.